So I've seen a lot of YouTube videos trying to use the NA-45, and almost always they say it's one of the worst guns in the game, or one of the worst guns in Call of Duty history. In the videos, they try to snipe with it like a regular sniper rifle, and they'll hit people and complain about hit markers, and they can't get it to explode, and they just don't understand the mechanics. Now, there is kind of a semi-steep learning curve compared to some of the other guns, but ultimately it's not as bad as what they say it is. Now, I use this gun exclusively, and it's probably the most fun gun in the game once you get the hang of it, but I do have some tips that might help you out, so we'll jump right to them. The first tip is actually less obvious than you'd think, but don't hit the target. So whatever you want to shoot, don't hit them. Aim for their feet, or the wall behind them, or even the ceiling if you have to, but shooting the actual person is probably the last resort. Sometimes if you shoot the person one time and then hit the ground the next, even if it's right next to each other, it just won't explode. So try to actually hit nearby but not directly on the target unless you have to, or you're going for some trick little headshot. And you'll see in the gameplay clips here that if I see somebody, I shoot as close to them as possible, either on the wall or on the floor, but not them. And sometimes if you know they're about to come through a doorway, or you think there might be someone there, just shoot, and then you'll either get the hit marker or the kill, and you don't actually have to even see the person to kill them. The next step is to get high, and by that I mean get to the elevated points of the map, whether it's on top of a building, on a cliff, or wherever it is. Get to the top parts of the map as often as possible, and stay there as long as you can. You want to be higher than the person you're shooting whenever possible, and if you have to, just jump. And there's a couple of reasons why you'd want to jump. And it's not just to make yourself harder to hit or anything like that, but there is some math behind being higher than the person you're shooting. And I'm going to go into the math a little bit, not a whole lot, but you know, if it kind of bores you, then just skip ahead. Now, this stickman drawing here we'll pretend is you, and we'll say that you are 30 feet away from somebody that you want to kill. And I'm going to make up a number here. Let's say the gun is 6 feet off the ground exactly. I'm a tall guy, whatever, and we're going to make a right triangle, essentially. One side is going to be the gun to my feet. The next side is going to be the gun to the spot on the ground where we're going to hit the enemy. And then the last side will be the 30-foot distance between me and him. And in this example, we're actually not going to jump. We're going to stay firmly planted on the ground, and we're going to shoot from where we're standing to where he's standing. And when the gun kicks, it's essentially going to be a change in the angle of this triangle. Now, whatever the actual angle difference would be, I'm not sure, but we're going to pretend the gun only jumps up 1 degree, and that's going to be way off. But let's just say that it kicks up only 1 degree, just for the sake of this example. And I'm not going to go into all the equations and everything like that. I did all the work for you. I'm going to tell you the answer. The difference is going to be 2.98 feet. So when you shoot, if it only went up by 1 degree, the distance between the second shot and the first shot is going to be 2.98 feet in this example. Now in reality it's going to be more than 1 degree difference, but just for this example, 1 degree, that first degree is going to be 2.98 feet. Alright, now what we're going to do is pretend that either we jumped really high or we're standing on a ledge, but the gun is now 15 feet off the ground. So we're going to draw the same triangle, but instead of 6 feet on that one side, it's going to be 15 feet. And we're going to do the same thing we did before. So we're going to pretend the gun only kicks from 1 degree, and we're going to redraw that triangle, and you're going to see that the distance between the first shot and the second shot is a lot less than it was in the first example. In this example, the distance between the first and second shot is going to be 1.35 feet. And if you remember in the first example, it was actually 2.98 feet. So this is less than half the difference just by jumping or getting up on a ledge. So this actually helps counteract the kick of the gun and allows you to be a little bit less precise and still get that second shot close enough to the first shot to detonate it. And all of this actually leads into the next tip, which is to actually use your jumps to help aim your shots. So what you do is near the top of your jump, you actually fire the first shot, and as you start to come down, you fire the second shot. What this does is it uses the downward momentum to actually counteract the kick of the gun, and it turns it into more of a timing issue rather than an aiming issue. And this does take a little bit of practice to get the hang of, but in this video here I'll show you what it actually looks like if you do it properly. So as you'll see, I fire the first shot towards the top of the jump, and as I'm coming down I fire the second shot. I don't have to aim the gun myself at all, I just use my falling to counteract the kick, and then the second shot just becomes a matter of timing. And the next tip is actually very important, and that is to know the maps. And that doesn't just mean know the routes you're going to take, know the elevated points. I mean know the bugs, and there's a lot of bugs with the NA-45. There are some maps with some surfaces where no matter how hard you try, you will not do any damage to the person you're trying to shoot, or you won't get an explosion at all. And one of the worst maps for this is probably Solar. There's a lot of glass surfaces on the floor, and on this giant wall by the pool, and the pool itself, where no matter how hard you try, the gun will just do no damage. And there's a lot of different spots and different maps where this is the case, and knowing where these spots are will help you in the long run. And there's going to be far too many examples to list all of them, but what I can do is just give you a few of them, and if you know that these areas do exist, you can fire your shots in an area that they will explode. So for example, instead of shooting into the pool in Solar, if you shoot the outside rim or any of that white cement stuff that you see, you will be able to kill people in the pool, just not by shooting in the pool itself. If they're on that side of the map with all that glass floor, all you can really do is either try and shoot the wall next to them, or if they happen to be in that enclosed area, there's a strip of non-glass floor. If you shoot that, you will be able to kill the person. And one of my least favorite buildings in the entire game is this building over in Detroit, and all of the glass surface on the building will bug out and cause your explosions to do no damage. The only way to kill somebody on top of this building is to shoot the middle strip that separates the glass, and it does require a bit of aim, but it is possible to do. Chain link fences are going to be a bit of a mixed bag. So on maps like Detroit, if you shoot the chain link fence, the bullets go right through the fence and detonate on the other side. If you happen to hit the metal bar, it will explode, but that's not really something you can do in a gunfight. On other maps, such as Riot, which is basically surrounded by a giant chain link fence, the bullets will explode, and it does work on the majority, if not all, of the fencing on the outside of the map. So on some maps it'll work, some maps it won't. It's going to take some trial and error, and you can find that out for yourself. Stairs are going to be really random in this game, so sometimes they work, sometimes they don't, but my advice is to shoot the wall if possible, and if you can't, shoot the stairs, but be ready to fire a second set of shots, just in case. A lot of times if you see a certain kind of texture in one map, you'll see it again in another map, so glass is a reoccurring thing, and it just doesn't work in most maps. Also, if you see any graded floors such as this one here, just shoot the wall next to the guy and you'll probably kill him. Otherwise you can try and take a gamble in the floor, but it probably won't work. The last tip I have for you is just to keep moving. Yeah, this is a sniper rifle, but you shouldn't play like a sniper with it. It's probably best to think of this as like an ultra-precise grenade launcher, and you should be as mobile as possible. The vast majority of your time is going to be spent reloading, so learning how to keep moving and dodge well is probably the key to doing well with this weapon. On certain modes, such as Domination or Hardpoint, you could be a bit more campy with it since it's a gun that excels at playing defense, but generally speaking, you should probably play hyper-aggressively and just try to use it more as an assault-type weapon, not a sniper rifle. I did not cover the loadout that I use in this video, but I will be uploading another video of just the loadout, so if you're interested in seeing the class setup that I use, you can check that out. And I'll also be uploading just a plain match that I did in Domination mode, and if you want to see what a full game looks like with the NA-45, you can check that out as well. I'll be able to get to both of them at the end of this video, so hopefully these helped out. If not, oh well.